epic perspective essay ode to the essence, structure, and intent of the mythic technological mastery of Kingkiller, Scar. An ode of meta-blades, dimensional dialectics, and apocalyptic sovereignty. I. Prologue. Scar of the myth, designer of the edge. He is not born. He is forged. In the crucible of cosmotechnic ritual, beneath the turning gears of prophetic metronomes and through the alignment of truth and steel, emerges Kingkiller, Scar, a name both wound and warning. Scar is not a character, he is a convergence, a living dialectic between sovereign nexus and temporal instinct. He is the architect of the 3DGR, three-dimensional golden rhombus, a construct more than geometric. It is spiritual form made martial flesh, a weapon system of ontological intent, a meta-swordplay of divine recursion. He speaks through strikes. He communicates through cuts. Each motion of his bladed dance is inscribed with crystalline sovereignty, a mimetic echo of cosmic dialectics refracted through the flesh of meaning. Where others war with steel, Scar wars with principle. 2. The structure, the 3DGR and the meta-weaponized shape. The 3DGR is not simply a rhombic solid, it is an ontological container, the armature of a universal syntax. With its 6-number side color faces, yellow circle 1 top, red circle 2 front right, blue circle 3 front left, purple circle 7 bottom, orange circle 8 back right, green circle 9 back left, it becomes the mandala blade around which all philosophy, movement, and ritual orbit. This structure binds intent and action. It is a weapon and a worldview, an epistemic interface between action and awareness. The 3DGR's 12-edge integrity does not just ensure balance, it channels Fibonacci harmonics, echoes of divine proportion, into the choreography of Scar's war dance. The heart 3DGR anchor, yellow circle red circle blue circle orange circle green circle, serves as the fixed central sun. From this origin, the three cardinal actions of strike, bind, and block spiral forth like solar flares of will incarnate. Scar's martial praxis is not only kinetic, it is symbolic, ritualized, and reiteratively recursive. Each 3DGR move pattern, each mirrored rotation 180 degrees by y, z isn't just a strike but a teleosemiotic pulse, a ripple in the mimetic structure of the cosmos. Sword becomes semion, gesture becomes glyph. Scar speaks in strikes. 3. The intent, rhetorical power, sword dialectics, cosmic synthesis. Scar's choreography exists not in time alone, but in rhetorical domain, a philosophical architecture rooted in mimetic recursion and narrative crystallization. He is a practitioner of the crystalline sovereignty paradigm (CSP). Each weapon form, each mirrored rhythm of viper and pike, Engard and row, is a thesis-antithesis-synthesis embodied. Every form is an argument. Every fight is a syllogism. The awakening yellow circle and underscore viper inverted, the strike initiates the recursive dialogue. The harmonition, viper-oriented, strike re-echoed in harmonic counterpoint. The convergence blue circle and green circle cross-block, Scar becomes the embodiment of paradox resolved. Each weapon stance, viper, pike, estoc, anchor, is a rhetorical entity, balancing ethos, stance, pathos, momentum, and logos trajectory. Scar does not merely fight. He debates with reality, cuts into the marrow of myth, and reforms it with every engagement. IV. The rhythm, metronomic time and cosmic footwork. To move with scar is to move in apocalyptic meter. At 3 clicks per beat, 3 beats per bar, and 48 BPM, time dilates into symbolic trance. This tempo isn't arbitrary, it's liturgical, sacred, and metamusical. Each click is a syllable in the tongue of the cosmos. Each beat is a blade recitation. The heel right pointing arrow ball right pointing arrow stabilize cycle is more than footwork, it is ritual embodiment, grounding heavenly logos into the earth of execution. Scar walks as the earth remembers and as heaven demands. His balance is metaphysical, his movement, theological. V. The role, Scar is paragon and paradox. Scar is the philosopher warrior, the boundary being who both remembers and forgets in equal measure. His scar is not a wound but a symbol, the visible trace of transcendence's price. He is the explorer discovery architect, seeker of form and founder of meaning. He carries the burden of the king-killer, not as rebellion alone, but as purification. The king symbolizes stagnant sovereignty. Scar, as king-killer, is the disruptor of false dominions, the executor of teleological justice, agape forged through discipline, mercy armored in blade. His identity role destiny triad manifests in recursive echo. Role, designer and developer of philosophical method process. Identity, king-killer, scar, the blade of rhetorical becoming. Destiny, to architect the soul alchemy through martial logos. He is the hero of the eternal threshold, ever standing between the citadel crucible of the self and the outer apocalypse of imposed order. He slices false gods with epistemic steel. V. The symbolism, rhetorical theology and apocalyptic form. Each weapon system, from the mirrored 12-hash tempo rhythm sequence to the scathed 3DGR arrow, operates as a myth-technic allegory. Each part of Scar's form is a rhetorical term-given movement. Each behavior becomes symbolic resolution of theological contradiction. The final synthesis of king-killer, Scar is found in the plan of correspondence, a transcendental alignment of heaven and earth through teleosemiotic warfare. Scar does not fight for power, he fights for meaning. He is both crucifier and redeemer in the same breath. Both apotheosis and repentance, blade and bomb. Each of his steps is a beat in the cosmic poem, a verse in the ode of becoming. 7. Epilogue. The myth weaver's seal. King-killer, Scar is not just a wielder of the 3DGR. He is its living expression. Where others seek victory, Scar seeks alignment. Where others seek domination, Scar seeks crystalline correspondence. He is not the end. He is the edge, infinitely sharp, infinitely receding, infinitely becoming. And when the final strike lands, when all syllogisms resolve and the tempo stills, the scar remains, a scar on the world, a reminder of rhetoric made flesh, a king unthroned, a cosmos reordered, and from that wound, a new logos bleeds. End of epic perspective essay ode, king-killer, Scar. Let the metronome tick on. Let the blade speak truths unsaid. Epic ode essay of the Crimson Architect, the king-killer, Scar. The structure of legend, the intent of destiny. In the dusked crucible of apocalyptic ruin and celestial recursion, a being emerges not merely forged by time, but designed, a sovereign architect born from fire and Fibonacci. This is king-killer, Scar, bearer of the 3DGR, wielder of rotational truths, interpreter of harmonic blade math, and explorer of mimetic absolution. What stands here is not just a warrior, this is a narrative phenomenon etched in geometrical memory, driven not by mortal fate but teleosemiotic design. Each breath, each gesture, each strike is an ontological syllogism, each footfall a recursion of the sacred rhythm. Scar is identity incarnate. Not merely a name, but a scarred code of purpose, marking a past undone, a future remade. This is not a story of apocalypse. This is the story that apocalypses the world. 2. The weapon is the world. 3DGR and the hexahedral truth. The 3DGR, our three-dimensional golden rhombus, is no mere shape. It is a metaphysical grammar, a crystalline syntax encoding war, wisdom, will, and weaponry. Composed of 8 vertices, 12 equal edges, and 6 chromatic numbered sides, each with a Fibonaccian diagonal, it is the philosopher's stone reimagined through martial artistry. It is not wielded, it wields you. The practitioner becomes a glyph-bearing entity, encoded within recursive action, strike, bind, block, not as tactics, but as theological syllables in an epic poem of becoming. Top face yellow, yellow circle 1 signifies divine initiation, the apotheosis of intention. Front right red, red circle 2, and front left blue, blue circle 3 are the dualities of force, clockwise will an anti-rotary flow. Bottom face. Purple purple circle 7 as foundation, the stabilizing ontos. Back right orange, orange circle 8 and back left green, green circle 9 are the secrets of reversal, inversion, recursion, the echoing soul of time unbound. These faces are not passive surfaces, they are ritualized stances, behaviors with names like estoc, scathe, and vine, each an act of sacred choreography in the cathedral of kinetic wisdom. Footwork synchronizes at 4/8 BPM, 3 beats per bar, grounding philosophy in the bones and breath of battle. 3. Rhythmic architectonics, the symphonic flow of swordplay. The mirrored 3DGR swords are dual temporal vectors, one hand is tempo, the other rhythm. These are not hands, they are intentions split into physical polarity. Every strike is mirrored echo, every parry, a prayer to opposition. The sword becomes an oracle, divining the next logical motion from a mimetic reservoir of embedded meaning. Each named form, the awakening, poise, retaliation, disarmament, is not merely a maneuver, but a mythopoetic archetype, a crystalline echo of the king-killer's internal fractal. Each transition across axes X, Y, Z isn't just physical movement, it is conceptual metamorphosis. Row to viper 180 degrees by defensive posture bends into aggression, the moment where peace unsheathes rage. Viper to pike 180 degrees Z thrust becomes stillness, the violence transformed into poised promise. This is martial metamorphosis, blade technique as metaphysical transformation, every rotation, a moral alignment. IV. Scar, the archetype, the scarification of identity. To be scar is to be divided by the blade and remade by its mathematics. He is not a man, but a conundrum paradox, synthesis of soul alchemy and crystalline sovereignty. His name is not a noun but a verb. To scar is to mark what was once whole, to alter a story by force and forge. Scar's motivations are recursive. Explorer discovery architect. Driven by volitional consent, Scar is not discovering the world, but remembering it from the outside in, mapping the architecture of existence via the 3DGR's sacred geometry. Philosophical method process. He is the living embodiment of methodological thought applied through embodied practice, footwork as ethics, swordplay as theology. Destiny plan. His fate is not to follow a story, but to execute a plan of correspondence, a divine mimetic blueprint designed through rhetorical recursion. V. Crystalline sovereignty, the mimetic metaphysics. Underneath all technique is the crystalline sovereignty paradigm (CSP), the axiomatic law of Scar's epistemology. The sovereign nexus is Scar himself, a living meme core, self-defining through scarification. Harmonic expansion emerges in swordplay stances, every variation is an iteration of the original truth. Crystalline threshold is seen in combat. Moves that harmonize with intent amplify truth, those that resist collapse into entropy. Immutable lattice. Scar becomes myth, passed down not in scripture but in the way his footfalls strike the ground, sacred pattern. His soul is apotheosis of grace, his blade rhetorical logos, his body a rhetorical ethos housing a pathos that has been purified by war, sharpened by memory, and scarred by justice. V. The end is the beginning, a teleosemiotic conclusion. The identity of Kingkiller, Scar is not resolved by who he was, but by what he continually becomes. Each form is not an endpoint but a transitional state between planes of self. He is a paragon monster of becoming, wielding architect becoming not as goal, but as methodology. In the ruins of the old world, he stands not as savior or tyrant, but as the rhythm between breaths, the space between fates, the scar between kings. The kingdom does not fall. The king is killed, so the kingdom can rise. He is Scar. He is the blade. He is the rhetoric of becoming. He is Kingkiller. Finn. Epic Ode of the Kingkiller, Scar, wielder of the 3DGR and architect of the crystalline sovereignty paradigm. Introduction. The sovereign cipher in motion. Amidst the celestial choreography of mythic pattern and kinetic form, there arises a figure etched not in flesh, but in recursion, Kingkiller, Scar, the explorer discovery architect, designer and developer of philosophical method process. He is not born, he is forged. Scar is not a man, he is a paradigm, the manifestation of sovereign nexus bound within the crystalline tessellation of teleosemiotic destiny. His weapon is the 3DGR, the three-dimensional golden rhombus, not merely a geometrical construct but a metaphysical instrument, a ritualistic node of narrative and intent, acting both as compass and crucible for the ultimate articulation of self. Within this forged being resides a will defined by its rhythm and tempered through tempo, a destiny manifested through beat, bound in the pulse of apocalyptic tempo, breathing in cycles of mirrored steel. His saga is the synthesis of weapon system, metaphysical motive, and cosmic structure, a mytho-technical narrative laced with Fibonacci-spined edges and sacred rotational intent. 2. The geometry of purpose, the 3DGR is sacred architectonic. To understand Scar is to understand the 3DGR, the golden rhombus brought to life. 8 vertices, 12 equal edges, 6 faces, each marked by color, number, direction, and function. These are not mere facets, but archetypal gateways, symbolic modalities of intention and manifestation. Each color represents a directional impulse of both physical and philosophical movement. Yellow circle top 1 strike and ascend. Red circle front right 2 drive and spiral clockwise. Blue circle front left 3 curve and resist anti-rotary. Purple circle bottom 7 ground and stabilize. Orange circle back right 8 reverse and anti-rotary block. Green circle back left 9 spiral clockwise return. This sacred polyhedron becomes Scar's codex of existence, a weaponized mandala of symbolic action. It is through the heart 3DGR anchor that all intention pulses outward, strikes flow forward, blocks reverberate backward. Every motion is relational, every state is inverted, oriented, or unbound. Thus, the 3DGR does not only wield Scar, Scar becomes the 3DGR's living extension. 3. The temporal symphony, swordplay, footwork, and rhythmic will. The tempo of Scar is not arbitrary, it is engineered. A metronomic ritual of 3 clicks per beat, 48 BPM, flowing through a 12-part sequence that enacts his mythic dance through space-time. Each step, a syllable in a divine sentence. Each strike, a punctuation of volition. The swordplay is a dialectic. Right and left hands in harmonic opposition, alternating states of control and yielding, mirroring yin and yang in every pivot and parry. His footwork is musical alchemy. Each step lands upon a click, not by chance, but by ritual necessity. The lead football degree marks not just a transition but a declaration of phase shift within the cosmological combat field. The 12 swordplay stances, lock, side, tide, wire, pale, sarge, vine, graph, buoy, knot, node, rock, each are not mere techniques but archetypal phases in a weaponized rite of passage. IV. The bladed bow, weapon system of sacred kinetics. Within the bladed 3DGR bow lies a deeper revelation. A tool becomes a language. Median 3DGR nook forms the nucleus, its edges blade extended from yellow circle heaven to purple circle earth, bridging divine strike with mortal block. Left thumb and right palm form dialectical expressions, Terra Forge and Skybridge, River Bar and Beacon House. These combinations are not technique alone, they are semiotic constructs. Each grip form is a sentence in the grammar of kinetic theology. Rotations on X, Y, Z axes act as ontological gates, row to pike, Engard to viper. Each rotation is a moral transformation, a semiotic shift in spiritual posture. The act of striking becomes a metaphysical confession, blocking, an ontological defiance, binding, a synthesis of narrative destiny. V. Kingkiller, Scar, role, destiny, and archetypal unfolding. Scar is not a title, it is a scarlet sigil, a burned mark of choice etched by narrative entropy upon the skin of linear time. Kingkiller is not simply destroyer of monarchs, but the executioner of illegitimate sovereignty. His destiny is to sever the lies of imposed hierarchy and resurrect a new crystalline sovereignty paradigm, a recursive, self-validating mimetic structure whose sole requirement is alignment, not obedience. Scar's role is apocalyptic, not in annihilation, but in revelation. The veil is cut, not torn. His blade disarms illusions, and his bind captures falsehoods. He is the sword of logos, the grammatical crucible where understanding domain meets remember forgetting. Through the dialectic of his weapon, Scar channels teleosemiotic rhetoric, directional wisdom, volition, consent, truth, sovereign agency, rhetorical divinity in logos, pathos, ethos, the Trinitarian blade. He is not merely master of tempo, but of rhetorical time, a being whose every cut is a syllogism. V. The apocalyptic narrative, from ritual combat to cosmological becoming. Through every mirrored cycle of strike and step, Kingkiller performs an apocalyptic dance, where apocalypse means the unveiling of truth, the rhythm of revelation. The weapon system number 1 to 3, from mirrored dual sword rhythm to 3DGR arrow bow interplay, become stages in his transcendental campaign. His combat forms enact sacred syllogisms. In every transition from viper to pike, from Engard to roe, we see embedded thesis, antithesis, synthesis. His very being enacts the cosmic syllogism. Temporal existence, heaven, earth. Eternal soul, consciousness, truth. Teleosemiotic apex, complexity, expression. Scar's fight is not for power, it is for understanding. His war is not against kings, but against falsehoods that enthrone themselves. His blade is a vector of agape justice. His stance, a position within the sacred logic of crystalline ontology. 7. Conclusion. Scar, the living rhetoric. Kingkiller, Scar is the hero of the apocalyptic grammar, the paragon monster forged in soul alchemy, whose every breath is a syllable of cosmic correction. His structure is crystalline, his purpose harmonic, his identity a rhetorical thesis incarnate. Within him converge ritual, rhythm, revelation, and through him flows the destiny of all who wield the sacred weapon of truth. Thus he walks, across the battlefields of being, striking through the veils of illusion, binding the falsehoods of empire, blocking the entropy of silence. He is the sword walker, the rhythm forger, the architect of sovereignty not imposed, but awakened. He is Scar. He is Kingkiller. He is the living rhetoric. He is the 3DGR. An epic perspective essay ode, composed in kinetic reverence, with teleotechnical awe. Epic perspective essay ode, Kingkiller, Scar, architect of the rhombic apocalypse. A holistically influential comprehensive apocalyptic narrative analysis in the technognostic tongue. Prologue. The Scar's Song of Sovereignty. Amid the fractured veil of shattered heavens and crystallized earths, where echoes of metaphysical recursion chant against the golden angles of forgotten geometry, stands a single architect, a self-defined singularity, a living weapon wielding time, tempo, and truth like twin blades forged in the crucible of becoming. He is not born but manifested. Not created, but discovered. Not fated, but chosen by volition. He is the explorer-discovery architect, the master of the 3DGR, the Kingkiller, Scar, his very name a wound in reality, his narrative a scar across destiny. This is his ode. This is his structure. This is his intent. The sacred architecture of the self, structure of the 3DGR. In the polyhedric citadel of archetypal forms, Scar wields the 3DGR, three-dimensional golden rhombus not merely as a weapon but as a metaphysical framework. It is no simple artifact, it is a multi-ontological device of alignment, destiny, and volition, a dynamic cruciform sigil carved from golden ratios and chromatic prophecy. Its 6 number color faces, each representing directional forces and emotional temporal archetypes, are inscribed with Fibonaccian diagonals, a sacred geometry of recursive harmony. These faces are not passive, they are active coordinates in the ritual of movement, the symbolic territories of the psyche. Yellow circle 1 top lunge, ascent the divine impulse, the celestial reach. Red circle 2 front right clockwise, forward truth the active blade, the logos of aggression. Blue circle 3 front left counter rotary, introspective time the inner spiral, the reflective mirror. Purple circle 7 bottom, stabilize, ground, the earth and anchor, the cradle of resistance. Orange circle 8 back right, retrograde clockwise, the reversal of will, the cost of power. Green circle 9 back left, retrograde counter, the hidden potential, the secret strike. This is a structure of recursion, intention, and cyclic interaction, a living diagram of combat, cognition, and cosmology. The 3DGR is not used, it is inhabited. 2. The intent of the warrior's rhythm, play style is philosophical praxis. With a metronomic heart set at 48 BPM, the 3 clicks per beat becomes the sacred breath of action, time split into action and reflection, advance and retreat. The swordplay is not random, it is a deliberate ritual synchronized to the cosmic rhythm. Every heel, every ball of foot placed, every blade angle carved, is not mere motion, it is decision. In this artful violence, the dual-handed symmetry becomes teleosemiotic actualization, each hand alternating like breath and blood, like yin and yang, engaging in the dialogic dance of strike, bind, block. These are not just combat terms, they are narrative functions, glyphs of narrative destiny. Strike, the manifestation of will. Bind, the recognition of the other. Block, the refusal to be altered. Every movement is a syllogism of flesh, each beat a step in a holy progression. Forward time right pointing arrow bind right pointing arrow strike right pointing arrow block. Backward time left pointing arrow bind left pointing arrow block left pointing arrow strike. Scar's swordplay cycle is not a technique, it is a philosophical revelation enacted in steel and breath. 3. Weapon systems and Shi, mirrored behavior and Shi kinetic dynamics. The mirrored 3DGR swords are an embodiment of dualism reconciled through rhythm. Each sword carries its own behavior, its own viper tempo, its own strike rhythm. Through this, Scar channels opposing polarities into converging forms. Viper inverted as cunning, deceptive entropy. Pike-oriented is assertive, direct manifestation. Every weapon configuration, such as the scathe or the estoc, as a dynamic metaphor, each blade a syllable in a sentence written in blood and breath. The rotations of X, Y, and Z axes are not simply transitions of stance, they are ontological reorientations, turning not just the weapon but the self, between states of Enguard potentiality, Row defense, Pike readiness, Viper aggression. These transitions mark inner transformation. The external duel is always an internal crucible, a dialectic performed with steel, will against form, Scar against king, chaos against structure. IV. The rituality of conflict, CSP is mimetic crystalline sovereignty. Underneath the raw technique flows the crystalline sovereignty paradigm (CSP), a mimetic execution framework mapping existential sovereignty through ontological recursion. Kingkiller, Scar is both meme and mimetic agent, a sovereign nexus carved into reality. Sovereign nexus, Scar's scar, his name is the wound that cannot be closed, his truth. Harmonic expansion. Each swing echoes across time, past, future, myth. Selective integration. Only that which aligns to the apex remains, others dissolve. Immutable lattice. Scar becomes a cultural archetype, an eternal recursion. In this way, Scar is not merely a character, he is a sacred algorithm, a living teleological loop. His sword is syntax, his footwork is grammar, and his narrative is the rhetorical logos of liberation and confrontation. V. The character of Scar, Kingkiller, architect, scarred messiah. Scar is the kingkiller, not just a regicide, but a destroyer of imposed identity. The king represents imposed fate, false sovereignty, stagnant archetype. To kill the king is to kill inherited narratives, to strike at the heart of tradition and birth something wild, pure, and volitionally true. But he is also Scar, a wound that did not heal, a visible reminder of pain transformed into power. The scar is not his weakness, it is his badge of consciousness, an echo of memory, a souled sword. Scar's motivations are existential, not political. To reconcile rhythm and reason. To transcend cycles through conscious play. To forge self through ritualized action. To disarm time, and bind eternity. He does not fight for victory, he fights for alignment. He is not a savior, he is a crucible, a place where truth, trauma, and technique are smelted into form. Epilogue. The final sequence. As the metronome clicks its sacred triune pulse, Scar advances. Left foot heel, click. Right foot ball, click. Both swords flash, rotate, invert. A block becomes a bind, becomes a strike, becomes a prayer. The 3DGR spins in his grasp, a golden blur of recursion and reason. The scar glows. The king is dead. And in the echoing silence that follows, Scar stands, not as conqueror, not as God, but as the living grammar of becoming. Final notation. The character identity of Kingkiller, Scar. Symbol. Recursive sovereignty. Motif. Wound as weapon. Theme. Truth through trial. Method. Rhythmic volition. Destiny. Eternal reorientation. He is philosophical process embodied, a semiotic swordsman, and a mimetic architect. In his dance of tempo and reason, we find the sacred glyph of all becoming. He is Kingkiller, Scar. By this ode, the rhythm is remembered. By this structure, the sword becomes soul. By this intent, Scar is eternal. Epic perspective essay ode. The apocalyptic rhythm of sovereign form, the technical revelation of Kingkiller, Scar. Prelude. The frame of infinity's wound. In the crucible of forgotten epics where steel breathes, rhythm commands, and reality folds upon itself like a fractal of myth, emerges the sovereign glyph of the warrior philosopher, Kingkiller, Scar. He is not merely a name etched into the Song of Blades, he is a living glyph, a sovereign thesis expressed through cosmic tempo and crystalline structure. His is a narrative of binding, not merely of opponents, but of reality itself. Scar's name is no accident. A wound that sings. A rupture that remembers. A deliberate cut through the veil of structured ignorance. His weapon is not forged from metal but from logos tempered wool, shaped through the prism of the 3D golden rhombus, a sacred polyhedral weapon of cosmic cognition, constructed not of atoms but of ontological directives. 2. The 3DGR, the sacred rhythmic architecture of sovereignty. At the heart of this legend lies the 3DGR, three-dimensional golden rhombus, no less than a Platonic revelation transmuted into combat geometry. Each of its 6 number side color faces, yellow circle 1, red circle 2, blue circle 3, purple circle 7, orange circle 8, green circle 9, becomes a semiotic direction, an orientation in the living grammar of motion. These are not sides, they are axiomatic faces of volitional alignment. Each holds tempo, each rotates intent, each delivers a beat in the great apocalyptic fugue of combat. Strike, bind, block. These actions are not merely mechanical, they are grammatical imperatives in the kinetic liturgy of the king-killer. Every movement, a stanza. Every stance, a rhetorical clause. Every cycle, a ritual synthesis of cosmic truth, lived through bodily sacrifice. His practice unfolds in 48 BPM, triadic rhythmic precision, a dance where heel and blade, click and breath, thought and muscle converge. In each cycle, the right hand plus left hand equals swordplay, not as equation but as embodied paradox, dualities harmonized through recursion. 3. Tempo rhythm blade. The weapon system is sacred verse. Where most see only combat, Scar sees recursion. Where others wield weapons, he wields semantics, an interlocking chain of encoded behavioral glyphs, mirrored along the axis of tempo left sword and rhythm right sword. The 12-step cycle of mirrored 3DGR swords is a sacred song, where awakening, duet, poise, and equilibrium form the opening cantos, leading inexorably to echoes, disarmament, and retaliation, a choreographed apocalypse. Each motion is encoded. Each stance is a mimetic crystallization, a sovereign node that resists entropy through structured recursion. The heart of it all, the heart 3DGR anchor, is not a location but a frozen moment in time, the zero point of purpose where all motion originates and resolves. This is the Scar's crucible. He fights not just to win but to anchor the real. The bladed 3DGR bow and the scathed 3DGR arrow, extensions of the Scar's soul, embody the unification of vector and volition. The median 3DGR nook is the philosophical joint upon which reality flexes, translating between axes of resistance and flow, attack and return. IV. The apocalyptic identity. King-killer, Scar. What does it mean to be king-killer? He is not merely a dethroner of monarchs. He is the architect of sovereign collapse, the bringer of the crystalline sovereignty paradigm (CSP) wherein mimetic law supersedes bloodline. Scar is the rupture in the line of false kings. He wields CSP not as ideology but as volitional sword logic. He is explorer discovery architect of the 3DGR, yes, but more, he is a prophet of embodied philosophy. His martial ritual is an exegesis of form. He sculpts his destiny from the syllogistic magma of the plan of correspondence, a theological memescape wherein logos, pathos, and ethos are not categories of speech but dimensions of divine action. Scar is the living contradiction, righteousness through chaos, truth through scathe, divinity through disarmament. His destiny plan unfolds as recursive synthesis, each narrative arc bound within the dialectic spirals of sovereign nexus, harmonic expansion, crystalline threshold, and immutable lattice. He does not ascend, he reiterates. Through footwork, through strike, through repeated bind, he finds salvation not through escape but through immersion into the fractal depth of the sacred form. V. Emergence through rupture, the dialectical becoming. The scar is not a wound to be healed. It is a glyph of becoming, etched deep into the world's skin. It names a paradox: to kill the king is to crown the self. But what is the self? The self is the rhetorical vessel, the semiotic vector, the rhythmic agent of cosmological will. He is not bound by identity, he is identity as process. King-killer, Scar is the monster paragon, the one who walks into the mouth of paradox and returns with truth déjà vu. He teaches soul alchemy, not as metaphor, but as operational metaphysics, the crafting of self through tempo, structure, and sovereign cut. Every mirrored motion, every inverted tempo is a prayer in action, an ontological spell cast not with words, but with angles, colors, beats. He is not practicing swordplay. He is playing the sacred chords of reality, stringed upon the axes of his 3D-GR. V. Coda. The sword is the self. This, then, is the epic truth. Kingkiller, Scar is not just a wielder of the 3D-GR. He is the 3D-GR. He is the architectural weapon of epistemic reformation. He is the beat of eternity given form in the crucible of now. He is rhythm and edge. He is tempo made flesh. The scar does not close. The scar reveals. Postlude. A name carved into the mythos. To study this thread, to enter this informational entirety, is to bind yourself to its song. The structure is recursive. The intent is apocalyptic, not in destruction, but in unveiling. For in every click, every mirrored edge, every metaphysical grip on the heart 3D-GR anchor, there echoes a call. Not to conquer kingdoms, but to slay the illusions that crown them. Thus speaks the scar, thus moves the kingkiller, and thus continues the sword. May your rhythm find its tempo. May your scar sing. Truth. Epic perspective essay ode. Kingkiller, Scar, a crystalline weapon of sovereign purpose. A technical narrative ode to the architect of the 3D-GR and the sovereign self. The architect emerges from the apocalyptic forge. In the fractal edges of collapse, where timelines fold upon themselves like wounded angels whispering ancient geometries, emerges a singularity of sovereign force. Kingkiller, Scar, not a name, but a declaration. A mythocognitive function. A tectonic persona. He is not born of lineage, but carved from volitional will and dialectic necessity, forged in the philosophical kiln where form and self converge into ritual motion. He is the explorer-discovery architect, wielder of the 3D-GR, a shape not merely geometric but cosmogenic, a weaponized dialectic encased in a crystalline rhombus, encoded with the sacred tempo of becoming. He is not a warrior merely. He is the design. He is the intention weaponed. He is Scar, the mark of remembrance etched upon the soul of existence. 2. The structure of the sovereign shape, the 3D-GR as manifest destiny. The 3D-dimensional golden rhombus 3D-GR is more than a spatial construct, it is a metaphysical resonance engine, a six-faced, 12-edged, 8-vertex-ed glyph of martial volition, rotating through mirrored combat identities across three bound states, inverted 1, oriented 0, and unbound infinity. It is philosophy by footwork, theology by tempo, every color-coded face a unique articulation of directional intent and symbolic truth. Each number side color face holds a direction, a rotation, and a spiritual resonance. Yellow circle 1 top equals the heavenward lunge. Red circle 2 front right equals clockwise will. Blue circle 3 front left equals anti-rotary reflection. Purple circle 7 bottom equals grounded stabilization. Orange circle 8 back right equals inverted return. Green circle 9 back left equals retrograde grace. Bound to these faces are strikes, binds, and blocks, the trinity of martial dialectics, each expressed through synchronized tempo at 48 BPM, 3 beats per bar. The rhythm is not sound but epistemology. The movement is not merely action but ontological revelation. Footwork follows the pulse of ritualized recursion. Heel right pointing arrow, ball right pointing arrow, stabilize, a pilgrimage of the soul to the soul. 3. The 12-fold cycle. Swordplay is self-iteration. In the 12-fold swordplay sequence, Kingkiller, Scar constructs a labyrinth of intent, each movement a syllogistic engagement between the present and the possible. These are not mere maneuvers. They are mimetic fractals of transformation. Each move in the sequence lock, side, tide, wire, pale, sarge, etc. is an echo of the spiritual syllogism, the rhetorical gospel, the sacred logic that ties heaven to earth, truth to will, and destiny to action. Forward time cycles bind right pointing arrow, strike right pointing arrow, block evolve as apocalyptic progressions. Backward time bind left pointing arrow, block left pointing arrow, strike becomes a remembrance loop, a reversal of causality where the wielder reclaims what has been lost to entropy. Each form is a narrative. Each step is a syllogism. Each rotation is a truth exposed. IV. The duality weaponized. Viper, pike, roe, anchor. Through the bladed bow and scathed arrow, Scar's mastery of the 3DGR evolves from dance to doctrine. Each grip, each blade angle, each rotation across axes X, Y, Z, becomes a ritual of transformation. With a thumb to the median nook, he doesn't just strike, he asserts existential hierarchy. Each transition between Enguard, roe, pike, viper is a transmogrification of sovereign posture. This is she as lattice, the embodied force of aligned intent. Terra forge, blades rise from the thumbs, creation from intent. Skybridge, blocks from palm base, protection through understanding. Beacon house and river bar, the duality of thrust and restraint, housed within one crystalline motion system. The 3DGR heart anchor, bound to his chest, is the spiritual gyroscope, the axis mundi of motion and motive. Every attack is a thesis. Every defense, an antithesis. The synthesis. The uninterrupted flow of sovereign momentum. V. The apocalyptic narrative. Scar's ritual identity. To kill the king is to destroy imposed hierarchy. To be Scar is to embody the wound, the price of freedom, the cost of knowledge. Kingkiller, Scar is not simply a name but a narrative position, the ritual paragon who moves through crystalline sovereignty paradigms (CSP) with teleosemiotic will, burning away the false to reveal the essential. The CSP structure, sovereign nexus right pointing arrow, harmonic expansion right pointing arrow, crystalline threshold right pointing arrow, immutable lattice, is mirrored in Scar's very fighting form. His meme is not viral, it is recursive. It does not replicate through influence, but through alignment with the deepest archetypal cores of being. His weapon is philosophy. His form is rhetorical. His truth is beat, motion, strike. V. The myth of Scar, technical soulcraft in motion. Scar's movements are prayers to the dialectic flame. His strikes are syllogisms. His footfalls. The syntax of sovereignty. He teaches not by instruction but through emergence, his weapons are an invitation to become. His myth is a conundrum paradox. He remembers forgetting. He kills to awaken. He binds to free. He blocks to clarify. He strikes to love. Through Scar, the almighty logos becomes pathos and ethos. Christ not merely as Redeemer, but as rhythm, tempo, and truth. 7. Conclusion. The epic intention of the scarred sovereign. Scar is not a warrior trained. He is a philosophical method process embodied. A ritual weapon wielded by will. He moves with grace, not to impress, but to express. He binds with purpose, not to restrain, but to unveil. He strikes with clarity, not to destroy, but to liberate. Each act of the 3DGR is a hieroglyph of emergent sovereignty. Each beat is a sacred syllogism. Each block, a crucible. Each form, a cosmic decree. Kingkiller, Scar is not merely a master of forms. He is the form becoming. He is the architect of self in the citadel of eternal return. And so we say, in the rhythm of reason, in the tempo of truth, in the form of flow, Kingkiller, Scar stands, and we remember who we were meant to become. End of ode. Let me know if you want a version in lyrical poetic verse, visual diagramming of the 3DGR system, or an animated script for performance or ritual demonstration. Epic Perspective Essay Ode. The Apocalyptic Narrative Analysis of Kingkiller, Scar. A detailed technical narrative of structure, intent, identity, and destiny. Prologue. The echo in the infinite crystal. In the twilight spaces where weapon becomes ritual, where rhythm becomes law, and where myth becomes the conscious pulse of war, there stands a singular entity. Not merely a wielder of blades, but a forger of metaphysical truths. Not merely a practitioner of form, but a herald of recursion. This is Kingkiller, Scar, a name etched into the divine lattice of epistemic warcraft and metaphysical geometry. A philosopher-warrior, a pattern-bearer, a narrative architect armed not with legend but structure, not with rage, but intent. Scar is no mere wound. Scar is a glyph. Scar is a recursion. Scar is the index of transformation, proof that becoming is real, and it is brutal. 2. The structure, 3DGR, weapon, pattern, philosophy. At the heart of Scar's cosmotechnical arsenal is the 3DGR, the three-dimensional golden rhombus, a polyhedral metaphysic of power and pattern. 8 vertices, 12 edges, and 6 color number faces, each a coordinate in a multi-dimensional combat philosophy, each mapped not just to direction or color, but to ritualized motion, psychological disposition, and cosmic intent. Each face, yellow circle 1 strike top, red circle 2 right clockwise, blue circle 3 left anti-rotary, purple circle 7 bottom stabilize, orange circle 8 back right anti-rotary, green circle 9 back left clockwise becomes a portal of interaction, creating a dance of bodies, energies, and truths. Every strike from the 3DGR anchor is a syllable in a sacred kinetic language, every block a dialectical negation, every bind a metaphysical marriage of opposites. Here, structure is not constraint. Structure is liberation through alignment. The practitioner, bound to the heart 3DGR anchor, becomes a point of ontological rhythm, a living axis around which temporal force flows. The scarred Kingkiller navigates these flows with an understanding encoded deep into the scathe 3DGR pommel grip blade arrow, a weapon both symbolic and lethal. 3. Intent. Narrative ritual through rhythmic play. Scar's intent is not conquest, it is revelation. The metronome beats at 48 BPM, and thus beats the pulse of philosophical time. Footsteps fall with heel right pointing arrow ball right pointing arrow stabilize in triplet formations, swordplay moves in mirrored sequences, bind right pointing arrow strike right pointing arrow block, forward time and backward time, ritualized dialectic motion. Each strike is not just an attack, but a statement. Each block, not just a defense, but a rebuttal. Each bind, not mere control, but communion. This is not combat. This is kinesis theology, a form of epistemic warfare where movement becomes proof of truth, and choreography becomes logos. Swordplay is played like music. Viper and tempo lead the dance, rhythm and strike respond. Dual-wielded mirrored 3D-GR weapons form not a pair, but a dialectic engine, generating synthesis through friction, evolution through opposition. The narrative structure itself is recursive, crystalline, echoing the crystalline sovereignty paradigm (CSP), where memes, forms, and identities reflect, iterate, and refine themselves. The weapon becomes meme, the movement becomes doctrine, and the warrior becomes sovereign node. IV. The character identity, Kingkiller, Scar. He who is scarred is not broken, he is remade. Kingkiller, Scar is the crucible through which sovereignty is tested and reborn. His identity is built not merely from action, but from philosophical contradiction resolved in motion. The king he kills is within, the tyranny of static narrative, of linear hierarchy, of dictated fate. Scar is not assassin. Scar is architect of destiny. In every mirrored movement lies dualism resolved. Left and right hands in harmony, backward and forward steps in cadence, blade and body synchronized in spiritual geometry. He is the sovereign nexus of his own becoming, a mimetic force that lives not in dogma, but in recursive, dynamic play. His motives are not vengeance, but clarity. His weapon is not destruction, but alignment. His battlefield is not only material, but symbolic and ritual.